All right, so I would say this is week 2, week 3, we're gonna get into higher intensity rotations. So the rotations that we're gonna do, we did them during the first call. It's just your casual rotation here. All right, so we have the actual the shoulder joint capsule, which we're rotating here. And then we also have the shoulder blade. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna drive more tension into the shoulder capsule, into the shoulder blade when we do our rotation. So we should be going at about 40 to 50%. And that means we're going at a little bit more tension and we're contracting at a higher frequency. So later on, I'll teach you and we'll talk about how you should be regulating your tension. So tension and contraction on how to contract the muscle from 10% to 100%. Most people, when they're contracting or doing an exercise, they don't know how to regulate how much force or how much tension or contraction within the muscle. So that's what you need to do. So depending on how you're lifting and the intent of the exercise or what we're trying, our outcome, we need to know how to down-regulate how much tension and force we're within our contraction. So for example, if I squeeze my fist, if I say squeeze your fist at 10%, it's very little. If I say go to 40%, we're contracting a little bit more, adding a little bit more tension. If I say 60, it's a little bit more, and then 100, the muscles are actually contracting, you see some bulging, a lot more tension. So that's what we need to learn how to do when we're exercising, and that's something you need to think about. So every exercise doesn't require 100%. It also depends on how much you're lifting. It also depends on the intent, right? If we're trying to drive low frequency endurance, you have to know how to contract at a low frequency or at a certain percentage. So for this, I'm going to show you what we need to be doing when we're driving tension. And when we do our circles, we're trying to drive tension. So don't worry about the circles so much. All I care about is for you to drive tension against your anatomy. And that means you're pushing against your anatomy and trying to basically kind of carve out better anatomy, a more efficient anatomy. So when we do the circles, the goal is to really create tight rotations in the movement. And I don't really care about you trying to overcompensate. The goal is for you to learn how to contract and create tension in the movement. So for example, when we're doing our shoulder rotation, I'm gonna ask you in the beginning, I want you to pull. So the wrist is up, it can be down, but I want you to pull back. So pull back, create a strong hold, not at 100%, at 30, 40% effort. So you're just pulling back, right? From there, you're packing it in, and then I want you to go into your rotation. But the tip is you have to keep that tight coil in your circle. So for right now, I don't really care about how big your circle is, it's more so how tight it is. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to drive neurological kind of efficiency, a neurological frequency in that contraction, because we're trying to regain the muscle, the tension, the nerves, and build back the communication with the shoulder and the muscles and ligaments. So first, you're gonna drive it in, pack it in. From here, this is where you start. This is where, so you're packing it in, you're squeezing at 30, 40% effort, and then you're gonna start driving. It should feel very tight, like you can barely move, but that's what I want you to move against. Right? So we're moving against our anatomy. We're using our anatomy as the resistance. So you're packing it in and you're gonna really drive up. It's gonna feel really stiff. And then you're gonna rotate. Remember, we're staying at 30, 40%, 50% effort, and then we come down. Okay? So drive it in to the socket. So all I'm doing is a very tight pull. And I'm squeezing, so pull. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna continue that contraction. So you're gonna pack it in, it should be tight, And we want tight circles. Okay? So don't worry about how big the circle is, just worry about how much you're contracting. If you got to reset, because I really want you to feel this movement, okay? So again, going forward, you can do it. You're gonna pack in, okay? Pack in, you're gonna come all the way around, tight circle. And even when you're here at the top, pack it in. Pack it in or readjust to keep the shoulder engaged, okay? So the goal here is we're really trying to create some tension in all of this shoulder. We want that. So when I say pack it in, what you're doing ultimately is you're putting the shoulder back into the socket, and it should feel tight compared to being further away. When you do that, try that. You'll see that, yeah, you may get a smooth rotation, but it's not as strong. So I really want you to, this is just to teach you how to create tension. So you're gonna squeeze and keep squeezing as you rotate. And I want this at 30, 40%, 50%. And you're gonna keep doing that until you can no longer hold that strong tension, okay? So that's week 2, week 3, and that you should be doing that along with your rotation of shoulder, internal rotation of contracting up. So what you'll do first is you do a casual one like so, and then you get into your rotation, knock these out, and then go into these. So a tip for exercising, you start with the most challenging exercise first, but with what we do, we start with joint focus first, right? So if we're doing a squat, if we're doing a lunge or anything, before we do the lunge, we first focus on the joint, right? We want to mobilize the joint, and then we get into the position that we're trying to work. So for this, like I said in the beginning, you're gonna start with a casual, like say you're going in to do bench press or throwing. You're gonna start with the casual one first. Very casual, clean. And then you get into your internal rotation to work the joint. This one can be passive, right? You can do if you're still in week 1 or still progressing in week 1, you can do the passive. If you've gotten stronger and you're able to tolerate the passive movement here, then you can go into week 2, which is contracting in that stretch. And then after that, we'll go into that tight coil of the rotation, like so. And I'll put this all of this in the template. But let me know what you think, and take care.
Generate by AI.